musician, and been here with this family for 5 years. Grew up in Israel and in America, and Rechov, artist, musician, and we're very happy to have him here with us. Thank you. Okay.
Hi, good evening, everybody. I heard it was quite a day. It's been a very, no doubt, the title boot camp. I think maybe if I'm gonna, we'll see.
Do you mind if I put over
Whatever you got it. Okay. All right, so I gotta be honest, when I saw the flyer and I was told that it's a boot camp, I thought that sounds pretty intense. And Tshuva itself is pretty intense, Everybody's got some sort of dread when it comes to this time of year. And boot camp sounds like, like they're gonna whip you into shape. They're gonna, maybe you need some extra motivation to be all you can be. So we're gonna, it's gonna be grueling, it's gonna be difficult. You might have to confront things you don't want to. Boot camp, and I'm sure it's true. There's a reality of boot camp to Tshuva. But that could be the chitzonius, because things that are really, really important and really big are usually very, very difficult. And if there's anything in our entire being that's real, it's Tshuva, because goes to the heart of our relationship with Rechov Yerushalayim. And I think, if I had to go to boot camp, I'm sure I do, it's because it's hard to get motivated to do things that are big and scary for us. So I don't want to negate any of that, because I'm sure it's true, but I'm here to provide an additional perspective, something something that makes Tshuva very, very attractive and almost seems so simple. And that's what I want to share with us. I want to share with us why Yom Kippur, the Gemara says that Yom Kippur is one of 2 of the happiest days of the year. That's a notion I'm sure everybody's familiar with. The Gemara in Tainus says that there were no happier days in Israel like Yom Kippur and Tu B'Av. And maybe we'll get back to that later, because it's interesting how the Gemara explains what that is. But, so I want to start off by posing a question. It's a question that many of us have had in our youth maybe, and that is, why does Yom Kippur come after Rosh Hashannah? Rosh Hashannah should come before Yom Kippur. It's very scary to have to confront the king when I'm painfully aware of the fact that I haven't been atoned yet for all my baggage. And I don't want to face the king, it'd be very, very nice if I had a magic Yom Kippur first and God gave me a spiritual shower, and then I could go be Mamlok the Rebbeinu Shalom as the king. So, that's a question that often people have. And the truth is that it makes more sense the other way around, because, on Rosh Hashannah, we coronated Hashem. We proclaimed Hashem king. But have we made him yet the king in our life? That happens on Yom Kippur. Let me explain. See, it's impossible to do tshuva and rectify or face the necessary healing that needs to be done in a relationship if I don't orient myself to my partner first. That means that on Rosh Hashannah, only after we remind ourselves that we orient our compass, that we remind ourselves that Hashem is king, and Hashem truly is the king, and it's our job, it's up to us how much he can be king here and how much this kingship can be manifest. Only once we remind ourselves that that's what it's all about and reorient ourselves to that, then we're able to face our personal relationship with him. And only then can Am Yisrael then accept the fact, because I now see myself in the context of this relationship where Hashem is king, now I'm positioned to do tshuva. I can address it. So really, now that we have confronted on some level, we're made to be aware and proclaim on Rosh Hashannah that Kadosh Baruch Hu is the best, and everything halavai, everything should belong to Him in a way, not just that He made it, but it should manifest and express all the goodness that He is, the soul, right, the living vitality of all creation, and we take upon ourselves the responsibility to manifest that and to dedicate ourselves to the King. And the King is really the heart of the people. He's our best, image, so to speak, of everything good that inspires us to be our best selves. Now we can address all the mud and gunk and whatever breakdowns that we've accumulated in our life, and not just in our personal relationship, but in Am Yisrael's relationship with the Rebbeinu Shalom. So, just wanted to start with that idea that we start off with a recognition, and that is what allows us to start entering the work of Tshuva. So, really, here's the point. The point of it all is why Hashem gave us Yom Kippur. See, after the Egel, Hashem realized that, so I'm going to go back. There's a discussion in Chazal. Did Hashem make the world as a way for the Torah to be kept? Was the goal of the world, was the inception, the idea that inspired Hashem, was it that He wanted to give the Torah to someone or something? So He made a world that we should receive the Torah and accept it and keep it here. So in that model, Yisrael is the means for Hashem to achieve His goal, which is for the Torah to be kept. Or did Hashem have an idea that there should be a Yisrael, there should be a partner, something, a humanity that Hashem could relate to in creation, and the means, the mode in which He connects to us is the Torah. That the Torah serves the goal that Hashem is in a relationship. I will tell you that Yom Kippur clearly speaks of the idea that the Torah is a means for Hashem to have a relationship with Yisrael. Because Hashem told us so many things in His Torah, what to do and what not to do. And most of us, we think, when we think simply about Tshuva, it's all the infractions and all the chatam and avonos and pesharim that we find in the 613 mitzvahs. So you get to shul and you have a checklist, and it's like, like I need to be clean spiritually because I did this aver and this aver and this aver. These are technical things, and it becomes kind of petty, as if Hashem is some sort of boss and I have to pay the price for actual rules and laws. And I don't chas v'shalom mean to say that that's petty, but it kind of loses the focus here of relationship. Tshuva is only possible in a relationship. What I mean to say is that Hashem gave us those rules in order to enact the Torah down here on earth. Because we are combined of two elements, essentially. Our being is made up of a neshama, which is an angel, a malach. All it wants is the Ratzon Hashem. But we're also put in this reality that's made to feel far away from Hashem, a physical, coarse, material existence, and where our neshama is enveloped in a body, and the body has its own Ratzon. And obviously we're meant to make our body's Ratzon conform to our soul, to our neshama, to our angel inside of us that only knows the Ratzon Hashem, and to transform this world, this edge of existence, the lowest material, physical world, with actions of the Torah that make this place down here a place where God's presence is manifest. So the means to do that is keeping the Torah here. But the point of this whole thing is that if HaKadosh Baruch Hu made the world for Yisrael, and the Torah is just a means, so when Am Yisrael, for whatever reason, doesn't keep the Torah, of course, they're not fulfilling their mission to transform the world. And of course, if Hashem has feelings, we can imagine that he's hurt, disappointed, upset. But the truth is, on Yom Kippur, Hashem is saying that more than I want you to do the mitzvahs, and more than I care about you keeping the Torah down here, I want you. Because he doesn't throw us out the second we don't keep the mitzvahs. And even when we incur great damage in the world, to ourselves, to the world, to this world's connection with Hashem, which is all terribly possible in when we lose our way, Hashem says, I'm not going to stop. I'm going to wait for every single individual. Nobody's going to be left behind. And Hashem is waiting. Hashem is not waiting for somebody. Hashem doesn't look vindictively, waiting to throw the book at somebody and give them their just rewards for crossing the line. Hashem wants you. And that's why he says that even if you're not doing what you need to be doing, or you've slipped up, I'm not going to let that take you away from me. So I'm going to put one day a year magically there, that all you got to do is take part in it and say you're on board and do the best you can. And I'm going to magically wash that away so that it shouldn't get in the way. And that's a tremendous simcha. And that's something that HaKadosh Baruch Hu put in as a result of the Ega. And Yom Kippur, really, the first Yom Kippur, where it was the day that Moshe Rabbeinu came down the second time, the second Luchos, after he had smashed the first ones. And really, it's the day where HaKadosh Baruch Hu reformatted a Torah that could be given to us in our fallen state, because Hashem chose us. So he gave us a Torah that worked for us. So, a person has to remember that the right way to go into Yom Kippur is that Hashem is waiting for us. He's not there to scream and to punish. And he doesn't want to, and it causes him way more pain than us, just like we tell our kids. It's totally true. But the thing is that to take advantage of Yom Kippur, the first step is to understand that Hashem is waiting for us and gave us a tremendous gift. And that allows him, in the words of the Apostle, to be Hashochin itam b'toch tumatan. That he settles, that he rests with us, that he's able to stay connected to us, even with our incurred tumah and the impurities that we accrue. And Hashochin itam means that he dwells. That's an element of Shekhinah. And there's no greater Shekhinah than what's manifest in the world of Yom Kippur. And the times that we have the Beis HaMikdash, Yom Kippur is called the holiest day of the year. The Torah calls it Shabbat Shabbatot. It's a Shabbos of Shabbos. Shabbos of Shabbos, regular Shabbos, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu put Menucha in the world, on the first Shabbos, so the Sfarim say that Menucha was a neshama in the world. There's an extra level of neshama. There's a neshama in the world, and that's Shabbos. There's a higher vitality that the whole reality is uplifted on Shabbos. So on Yom Kippur, the Mekubalim say that the Tzelem Elokim, the divine image, meaning how we manifest the HaKadosh Baruch Hu in this world, it appears in three dimensions. It appears in time. There's sanctity in time, the Kedushas Hasman. There's the sanctity of place. There's Kedushas Hamakom. You see that you can infuse geographic location with sanctity. And there's the Kedusha of the person, or an object. So it's what they call Olam Shana Nefesh. So in the, sure, is that this? Okay. So the year, in a way, the year looks like Tzal Yom Kippur. It's in the image of a man. And they talk about how the different Yom Tovim correspond to the different limbs. Rosh Hashannah is obviously the head. And you have the Shalosh Regalim, which is the right hand, the left hand, and the trunk, right? There's Shavuos and Sukkot. You have Hanukkah and Purim, which are the legs. They say that the neshama, which is the pneumius of the person, it's not even an image, but it's Machaya, the whole person, soul of the year, the neshama of that year is Yom Kippur. That means that there's an extra light. There's like the neshama of the neshama. Shabbos, it's like the pneumius of Shabbos. What's Megala in the world? How is that Megala in the world on Yom Kippur? Because on Yom Kippur, we're coming close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and we're manifesting something so holy and so beautiful about all of creation on that year. On that day of the year. We're saying that the whole world was made, all creation was made, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu could maintain his relationship with it, and that he could connect. And that we're showing that the creation, on behalf of all creation, we're doing the same thing. Am Yisrael is taking a step forward in HaKadosh Baruch Hu's embrace. And that's a tremendous, tremendous moment for a display of an expression of the deepest, holiest, most intimate truth that's Machaya, was the reason for all creation. So the Tshuva of Yom Kippur, I want to talk about in a moment what the Tshuva of Yom Kippur is. So we said that we have a soul, and our soul is an angel, and all it knows is the Ratzon Hashem, and all it wants to do is Hashem's will. However, in order to do the will, its mission is to turn this world into a godly place, and we are given a physical envelope, a meat suit, because really our soul is an alien, it doesn't really belong here, so we have an astronaut suit, spacesuit, we come down here, but the suit has its own programming, and while we're here, we have two voices simultaneously, and it's easy for us to lose ourselves. So on Yom Kippur, we say, so on Yom Kippur, we say, Hashem, anything that I've done, any way that I've lost my way is because I have this silly mitzvah. And on Yom Kippur, I'm not identifying with my body or my animal wills. I'm taking pains through the mitzvah of Yom Kippur and the 5 Inuyim. I'm identifying with the Malach in me. And I'm saying, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Ritzonenu la'asos ritzonecha. My will is to do your will. What can I do though? It's true that I've sinned. It's the Sa'or Shebe'isa. It's the chametz, it's the hot air rising in me. But really, I identify with the Malach in me. And I'm taking distance from my senses, my physical being, eating, drinking, whatever pleasure or kind of behavior that we share with animals down here. And I'm loosening the confines of my body just a little bit to free my soul a little bit, to remember who I am. And just like, in a way, the Rosh Hashannah is a way where we orient ourselves vis-a-vis Hashem. This, in Yom Kippur, we're orienting ourselves vis-a-vis our neshama. And we're identifying with our neshama a statement, both to ourselves, to embody that, and to the Rebbeinu Shalom, that this is what I want. And now I can address those things that came up, that got in the way. I have charata, I have terrible regret for the things that have happened and the things and the causes, the weaknesses that I have that have caused me to slip up and to do the things that you didn't want me to do. And I'm able to face you because I'm empowered with the idea of what I want and an understanding of that you're there to embrace me. I'm able to articulate and do the vidui and say, before you, Ana Hashem, I know that this is what I've done. I've fallen short. And I take responsibility that this is something that I've incurred. And certainly, if I take all of this seriously internally, I have to do enough. It has to bother me so much, and I want to disassociate myself so much with those things that have happened, that certainly there's a Kabbalah ala Asi. There's a tremendous desire, even a prayer to God to keep me from ever doing these things again. And you know, if I'm coming into Yom Kippur and I still have a problem talking to myself like this, then I can say, even if I can't manifest that will, there's the will for that will. And that's what I'm identifying with. So really, if Yom Kippur is the day of the neshama in the year, and it's a special day, a magic dimension that was afforded to me that I can identify more easily, to reorient myself with my own neshama. If it's the day of the neshama, which is Niskala, right? The neshama, so to speak, of the idea of creation, like we said, is Megala on Yom Kippur. What a holy, awesome, and joyous day. So this leads me up to my next point, and that's going to be about the submarine. The submarine. Yom Kippur has a submarine. A submarine. You know, something that goes underwater for long periods of time. friend. He teaches in yeshiva in Yerushalayim, and I've heard him for years. He used to prep the boys by giving over the marshal of the submarine. The pasuk says, "Dirshu Hashem b'himatzo." You should seek God out when He is to be found. Call Him when He's close to you. And Chazal say this is a time of year. It's the Aseret Yemei Tshuva. Hashem is extra close and extra available. And you know, if the pasuk in Ashrei says, "Karav Hashem l'chol kar'ah," God is close to all who call Him. L'chol asher yikra'u be'emes, to anybody who calls Him out in truth. So then, what's this coming to add? Except that maybe it's even easier. If God is close to all who call out to Him, as long as they call out in truth, then Dirshu Hashem b'himatzo, there's something. He's not just close, but it's almost like He's taking initiative. So I'm going to tell you about the subject in a second, but when I think about that, I think about how Yom Kippur specifically is a time to be painfully aware, maybe of all the moments in the past year that you wish Hashem was closer and more apparent in your life and more nearby, to motivate you to daven for that on Yom Kippur, that there should be a skula. Yom Kippur must be an Eis Ratzon, to ask Hashem to open your heart and to give you first that He should be more apparent in your life and more present, and that you should be more open to receiving Him and experiencing Him. So this is the idea of the submarine. Imagine that there was a submarine that went on an important mission. It could only come up once a year. All year, underwater, they have their provisions. They have their oxygen, and they have their food, and they have whatever tools that they need, and they have whatever energy power, and they stay there. And they're used to life there. But once a year, they get out of the water, and they go to their base, which is some sort of island oasis, and they stock up for the whole year, so that they can re-submerge and go through the year again till next year. And the submarine is us in this world with our neshama and our ruach. But the base where we restock, that's Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur is the day where if we're conscious of it and we're focused, and that's our intention, then we can soak up whatever we need in terms of whatever oxygen that our neshama needs to do its job together with the ruach on days not like Yom Kippur, when you don't have that magic dimension afforded to you, and you're struggling, you're in the job, you're in the work, and you are given challenges, because Hashem is trying to squeeze out of you the best that you can be, give you opportunities, and it's impossible to be able to do good in this world without a very, very real possibility of doing not so good, and leaving a wake, doing damage. And therefore, it's, maybe Hashem will make some omelets this coming year, and we'll probably have to break some eggs, and we have to be very careful because we don't want to break the shells. We don't want to break anything else. And whatever it is that I'm saying, you know what I mean. So the idea in Yom Kippur is to go in knowing with tremendous simcha. What a matana it is from the Rebbeinu Shalom, because He cares, because He wants us. And He'll do everything that He can to make sure that our infractions don't get in the way, as long as we do our part and we step forward. And the way for us to do that is to remember that we're identified. And the design of the mitzvahs of Yom Kippur is that we can easily identify and slip into that role, and that part of us which is our neshama, the malachim, and to remind Hashem and to remind ourselves that what the ratzon is, that our ratzon really is la'asos ritzon, and that we're an angel who's been dispatched down here on earth to transform ourselves and to transform the world around us. Anyway, that's the idea of the submarine. I told you that I would mention the idea, that I would talk about the idea mentioned in the Gemara about how Tu B'Av and Yom Kippur were the happiest days of the year. So the Gemara says, I'm sure that there was some presentation here in the Medrash around Tu B'Av time about what happens on Tu B'Av, right? Does everybody know what happens on Tu B'Av? The Gemara says, well, Yom Tov B'Yisrael, that's actually the Mishnah, it's at the end of time. The Gemara says that the boys and the girls will go out to the fields, and the single boys and single girls. The girls would all take borrowed clothing, they wouldn't take their own clothing, would wear all white, and they'd go, and the boys that were single would go to choose brides, and the girls would arrange themselves in 3 groups. This is what the Gemara says. There were the beautiful ones, the ones that came from pedigree, the Muchasot, and then there were the unattractive ones. And they each had a slogan or a jingle, an advertisement to try and get the boys' attention. They would dance, and the beautiful girls would say, Bachur, Bachur, tistaklu el hayofi, ki ena isha el hayofi. Take us, we're beautiful. You know, it's not having a woman to have something beautiful, someone beautiful in your life. It's our Gemara, huh? And then the pedigreed ones, the ones that came from Yichus, that came from families, they would say, Bachur, Bachur, tistaklu el, right? They would say, look at us, ki ena isha el levana. When a man thinks of getting married, he's thinking of settling down and creating a family and having future generations to pass something over to. We're coming from good stock. And the women that were unattractive would say, hey boys, take us lishma for the sake of it, but you better not, we don't want to hear all our married careers how ugly we are, so you better buy us fancy jewelry. That's what the Gemara says. The Gemara says, do a mitzvah lishma, but you better buy us nice zehuvim. You better buy us nice jewelry to adorn ourselves, because we don't want to hear you grumbling under your breath for the next 120 years. So that's the Gemara. Apparently they used to do this on Tu B'Av, and they used to do this on Yom Kippur. Yeah, because when the Kohen Gadol does the avodah, there's nothing to do on Yom Kippur. You don't have to spend your whole day sitting there saying Al-Chet. You know, they chuck a goat off a cliff, and magically a red string turns white, and then you party. You know, and probably you have what to talk to your neighbors about, because you pay good money for tickets to be at the base of Medrash, to see the Kohen Gadol in one of his fantastic feats of daring do over the course of a very, very intense and difficult avodah. And that was Yom Kippur those days. And then what better appropriate day for the guys to go, for the girls to get together and to try to make shidduchim. It sounds a little odd. I mean, right. It sounds, from our perspective, it sounds a little weird, right? The Gemara, that's the end of the Gemara. The Gemara ends with one more piece. The Gemara says, La'asivov HaKadosh is going to make a circle for the righteous ones. He's going to make a circle for the tzaddikim, and they're all going to point in the middle to Hashem. Whatever that means. And they're going to say the pasuk, Zeh Hashem Kivinu. This is the Hashem. This is God that we've been yearning for. Zeh Hashem Kivinu Lo. Nagila v'nismacha b'Yeshua. So we will rejoice and be happy in His salvation. And that's the end of the Gemara. So the truth is that in a deep way, I believe the Gemara is saying the following, and then we're going to use that to look at Yom Kippur. But I want to explain to you what I think is going on. The Gemara, the Mishnah talks about all the 5 reasons why, the 5 nisim, why we rejoice on Tu B'Av. And there's a lot of things that happened on Tu B'Av, and that had to do with the Churban and the end of the Churban. And the people were waiting to die, and the Midbar stopped dying on Tu B'Av. They thought, you know, every generation, every year, for 40 years, they would die on Tisha B'Av. And last year, they waited from Tisha B'Av to Tu B'Av, and nobody died, so it was a big simcha. And there's other things mentioned. There was a miracle of the people, the massacre of Beitar, all these kinds of things that had to do with the Churban. And the Gemara is saying, if you ask me, the Gemara is saying the following. The Gemara is talking about the Geula. The Gemara is talking about when Hashem comes home and He redeems the Jewish people, and the big party that's going to happen. And the Gemara is saying that there's going to be 3 groups of Am Yisrael that are going to be saved. There's going to be the beautiful ones, the ones that come from good stock, and the ugly ones. I'm going to tell you what they are. The beautiful ones are the ones that live the life of Torah and mitzvahs. They're truly beautiful because that's what Hashem wanted them to do. And they transform the world, they transform themselves. Why shouldn't Hashem save them? Those are the tzaddikim. And then you have the ones that are miyuchos. Those are the ones that even if they didn't live a life of Torah and mitzvahs, they identified as B'nai Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. They knew who they are on some level, and they held on to that. Hashem says, that's chus too. I can save you. And then you got our brothers and sisters that got neither. And Hashem's they say, do it lishma. Like we say, aseh l'man shemecha. Save us for your sake, for your name. But they say, listen, I don't want to spend all of Olam Haba hearing that I couldn't do it. Right? Like Hashem put us here in a mission. Hashem's like, in the end, okay, I got to do everything. We're going to be hearing about it. So Knesset Yisrael says, give us the jewelry. You know, you don't like how we are. We're not good enough. Make us somebody that you can be proud. But Hashem's going to save them too. That's why the Gemara ends that the tzaddikim are going to be pointing at Hashem and saying that this is the salvation that we make. So it seems that Tu B'Av is a very magical time because of the terrible tragedies of the Churban and the historical moments where Am Yisrael felt that Hashem abandoned them and forsook them. Maybe they even deserved it. Tu B'Av, in different eras historically, restored the faith of the Jewish people in the fact that Kadosh Baruch Hu chose us, and no matter what, He'll never let us go. And that's why it was a great time for Shidduchim, just like Yom Kippur, because Yom Kippur is a response to the Chet HaEgel. That was a terrible tragedy. And Chazal characterized it really as an infidelity, that Maimon Har Sinai was a chuppah. God was going to bind himself to us forever and upgrade our neshamas to be a letter of the Sefer Torah. Yisrael Be'arasa Kudsha B'Chul Chad, we're all one. And that was the point of giving us the Torah, just like we said, that Hashem wanted to be intimately involved with someone. That's why he made a creation. That someone is Yisrael, Bereshis, the Shil Yisrael, Shenik Bereshis. And the means to connect to them was the Torah. The Torah is the ksuba that defines the parameters, the legal dimensions that allow for us to have a space to be intimate. And that was the hopes. Maimon Har Sinai was going to be where we were bound to him forever. And the terrible tragedy that happened when they got nervous that Moshe Rabbeinu wasn't going to come back on the 40th day, and they made some sort of intermediary and stand-in that ended up they strayed from Hashem, on whatever level. We talked about it in Shabbos K'Tavos, we don't need to get into it now. But the point is that since Chazal see that as an infidelity, the restoration of that on Yom Kippur is essentially a day where Knesset Yisrael and HaKadosh Baruch Hu are restored in their Shalom Bayis. You know, there's only one avoda that has to be done by the Kohen Gadol in Beis HaMikdash. Every single thing could be done by any other Kohen. The only thing you need technically a Kohen Gadol for is Avodas Yom Kippur. And that's because Aaron necessitated Avodas Yom Kippur, and because the demand for that was a tikkun. Hashem says, listen, we messed up. The only way it's going to work is if we fix this and we built into our relationship this regular mechanism. So Aaron facilitated on some level. He was there by the Egel, so he has to make shalom. And the truth is that there's nobody better to do it than Aaron HaKohen, because he was gifted and he was totally devoted to making shalom between ish and isha and between friends. Meaning he was the man who was oev shalom v'rodev shalom. So the day of Yom Kippur is essentially where HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us the ability to restore our relationship with Him, even on the, on the level of marital intimacy and the sanctity of an intimate relationship of husband and wife. And that's why there's no better day than to make shidduchim, to capture, meaning it is a day of the restoration of Am Yisrael's shidduch with Rebbe Shalom. And on that we say, there were no happier days. going to be, it already is. It's Tafshin Pei Dalet. It's going to be a great year. It is a great year. Hashem's been here so far because he really, really expects us to do the job. And don't remember, there's a b'diavad and there's a lechatchila. Lechatchila is that we bring Mashiach. And it sounds we're probably so jaded, it sounds ridiculous. Meaning, we're not where we have to be, and we know where the world is, and that's going to happen. But you can't think like that, because that's defeatist, and that's the surest way that he's not going to come. And you don't have to make anything happen. We just got to do tshuva. So I want to invite us all to really step up this year and try to have, this perspective that Hashem's waiting and that Hashem wants us, and he's going to do what it takes to restore us to our position so we can transform the world. And we got to remember that that's what we have to do, and that please God, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, should accept our tefillos and look down at us with rachamim. And once we're restored, he'll fix the things we can't fix. I just learned something today. I learned that there's Chazal say that anybody who regrets doing a good thing or a mitzvah, it's immediately taken away from them. They have no schach for it at all. It's like they didn't do it. You have to be so careful what you say, what you think in a moment of anger. But the things that you do transform the world, and the world needs them. And for you to regret that, it disappears. So I saw from the Putners Zatzal, he says a beautiful formulation. He says, if we know that a Toa ala Rishonim, somebody who has regret for doing something good, it's like it never happened. So certainly if you have regret, true regret for the things that you shouldn't have done, it's really on some level like they never happened. Yeah, there's all kinds of terrible things in the world. There's physical damage. There's causing pain. There's people have murdered. Chalila. But still, that's what he says. He says in the context of that, he says, how can you say that tshuva works? But he says on some level, it's as if the sin in a personal way, yeah, there's a problem with the world, and that has to be fixed. But in terms of you being responsible for something, that defining you and being around you and affecting the world from you, that's gone. So it's easy and it's not so easy, but it's so easy. And we should be, HaKadosh Baruch Hu should inspire us to come close to him and to give us opportunities and to everything we need, emotionally, psychologically, and physical comforts, to be able to be our best selves, to come close to him. And when we don't have what we think we need, then we should overcome the challenges and do it anyway. And that Hashem should be proud of us and embrace us and lift us up and kiss our kepi. And we should mamish, connect to Hashem more than we ever did before and be empowered to make this world a better place. I'm wishing us all a Gemara Chasima Teva, Hatzlacha Rabba in your personal missions, in your personal lives, and collectively as the fabric of Knesset Yisrael to make a difference. And I so wish, all of us wish to party at the Gula Shlema this year. Okay, Gemara Tov.
I want to make an announcement for the Zoom. If you could please pay for if you are on Zoom, and also anyone else who wants to donate to the Bas Medrash, please do so. It's all on paper. So, thank you all for staying to the very end. Please help us to share it.